Wasfy, and she is a professor of political marketing. First of all, good morning.
Good morning.
And happy feast. Maybe we're not going to be together in the feast, but
yes,
we are approaching, yes, the last 10 days of Ramadan.
Yes, happy feast to you and to your family too.
Right. Let me start by taking a look at the banner of Al-Ahram newspaper. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has ratified amendments to an election law regulating electoral constituencies, paving the way for setting a date for the long-delayed parliamentary poll. The new law allocates 448 seats to individual candidates and 120 seats to the winner-takes-all lists with codes for youth, women, Christians and workers, as opposed to 420 seats for individuals and 120 for lists in the previous law. Finally, talking about the parliamentary elections, and I know that we are looking forward for this. We need it, of course, urgently to conclude our roadmap and, of course, for legislation. So how do you read it in general, talking about the law in general? And
this amendment in the law, yes, to discuss it is important, but which is more important is to take the step of achieving the final step of the map or the roadmap of political stability, which is the parliamentary elections and the parliament and the candidates and the programs and to be back to elections and programs and to go back to the Egyptian voter and to know the needs nowadays, which is totally different from the previous announcement for the parliamentary elections. And here start the game of the political marketing.
Yes, I was just going to say so. Not
yes.
only because we need this, not only for the, yes, for the people, for the parties as well.
Yes.
They need to understand what do we need now, because it is completely different. The job description of the member of the parliament must be very clear now, not like before.
Yes, for sure, which is very important to be defined, and all parties or political parties who will be alien together or who will got separated, there must be formal announcement, and even new parties which will participate and create new slogans to attract youth, especially youth are which is, we call it targeted group. Yes. That to be needed to support that party or that new parties, which is very important. And here we call it the game of political marketing, how to market good to yourself, to reach the voters and to reach for supporters.
I will see from here how to do it exactly, and I would like to ask you something, but let me first check out more details in this report and we'll be back.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has ratified amendments to an election law regulating electoral constituencies, paving the way for setting a date for the long-delayed parliamentary poll. The vote was set to be held last March before a court ruled part of the electoral districts law regulating the individual seat system was unconstitutional. Egypt has been without a parliament since June 2012, when a court dissolved the lower chamber after ruling it was not constitutionally elected. The new law allocates 448 seats to individual candidates and 120 to the winner-takes-all list with quotas for youth, women and Christians, as opposed to 420 seats for individuals and 120 for lists in the previous law. The new law has also decreased constituencies from which individual candidates will be elected to 205 instead of 237, while maintaining 4 constituencies for the party list. Several politician parties have also voiced opposition to the new amendments, saying that the legislation in its final form still opens the door to patronage politics and fails to provide fair representation, and accusing the government of ignoring their suggestions to improve it. Earlier this week, the cabinet gave its seal to the approval of the 3 draft election laws, the one ratified by Sisi on Thursday, one regulating the workings of the House of Representatives, and another governing the exercising of political rights.
Welcome back. Still we are talking about the parliament, the amendments in the law, and you were discussing something of great importance, talking about the youth and political marketing, because this is something very, very important. We always talk about that we have to read, we have to understand, so as not to be, never to be abused by anyone or anyone to just to use us in playing with the words or new ideas or something like this. And this is exactly what we need right now from the political marketing.
Yes. You know, political marketing is built on 4 points or 4 factors to target the group of voters and supporters. First of them, and the most important, which is the promotional factors. And we have a second one is the relative, we call it relative factors, and situational factors and the previous experience. You know, those 4 factors, we can measure any campaign, which is parliament or presidential or whatever, on those 4 factors. How? First of all, if you talk about the previous experience, which is we had a good and a bad one, so we gain a lot of experience. Now, the Egyptian voter is much more wise in choosing the parliamentary candidate, and it's not easy like before. Not any slogan, not any program, not any promise that he will fulfill it when he became a member in the parliament. So those factors or the previous experience has a great effect or a percentage to let the party succeed or to let the candidate succeed. Okay. The second factor, which is the relative groups, you know, at the era of, at the time of Muslim Brotherhood, the relative groups played, or the relative factors played a very important role, like the friends and the old man and the wise man and the religionist man, which talk by religion and convince people by Islamic slogans. Those factors played a great role on the Egyptian voter to choose. Yes, they are not, of course, Muslim Brotherhoods, but they are affected by those relatives and those groups. And third one, which is the situational factors, all situation that you will find a great number, and we have to consider that great number will boycott the elections because of the situation they faced in the previous elections. And we must monitor and analyze what is bad and what is good, and how to offer new things and to prevent the bad things that happens before. And the last one, and which is very important, how to deal with the promotional factors. Media, newspaper, social media, and slogans and everything, even if the logo, which is the most small thing that they will present themselves in.
But you show the vision.
Yes, the vision. Not the logos like before, like those logos which we make fun of it, but try to choose some good logos and good slogans. So all those factors, they must work on just not to take that new as which is amendment in the law. No, show us the steps that you are taking and you're seeking for, the programs, and don't focus on one thing which is missing nowadays, which is the security of the streets. You will not offer security. You are not a government. You are a member in a parliament.
I want to say that even, yes, all these are important, but I'm not with the boycotting, because you will give the space for other negative points or things that might appear. So we all must be positive and at least take the best of what we can, because again, let's not have some great expectations. This is not going to be the best parliament. But yes, I like the statement of the president when he said this is an experience that we have to take, and we will learn from it for the future. So
I would like to tell you something. I'm not optimistic at all by that parliament.
I know many people,
seriously.
But at least this is an experience that you have to take.
Okay.
Take the best out of it.
Yes, right you are. Take the best out of the bad. Yes. Let's see that we're still in a problem that we are trying to
get. Because boycotting means that you will give the bad the space to continue.
But we have to be clear enough by science and by the scientific analysis that this coming parliament elections will not be that good, and we will see some problems in it, and we must expect those problems too.
To be proactive, at least.
Yes, that's why I'm not that optimistic.
Right, moving on to أخبار اليوم. Security sources said the meeting held on Thursday between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Minister of Defense General Sadi Subhi, Interior Ministry Major General Magdi Abdel Ghaffar, and the head of the intelligence had discussed means of counter-terrorism in Sinai. The president was handed all the reports which explain all these terrorist plots and the security plans of how these plots are going to be thwarted. Of course, we are approaching the feast, and definitely this is something very, very important, the security, the stability, and what happened recently in Sinai. So this is of great importance.
Of course, and monitoring what happened in Sinai every now and then, which is all those booms and all those attacks was expected. Yes, it was expected, but also we hope not only to expect it as much as we can prevent it from the beginning not to happen, and to face what is happening, and not to allow that any kind of booms or kind of attack to happen from the beginning.
Right. Let me move on to Al-Masri اليوم. The journalist has called for changes to a draft anti-terrorism law which imposes 2-year jail sentences on journalists who report false information on terrorist attacks which contradict official statements. Journalist Khalid al-Balshi said that the syndicate had called for the cancellation of Article 33 of the draft law during a meeting on Wednesday with Prime Minister Ibrahim Mahlab. The syndicate also called for amendments to 4 other articles of the law. Mahlab asserted during the meeting that the law did not target journalists, but rather those who wanted to harm national security.
This is very important.
I know you want to talk about it. I will give you all the... But
yes, we don't have...
but we are all taking it from one side, that we are going to put people in jail, or journalists, or the freedom of expression. Why not to express, but taking the right source instead? Because it is something very, very serious, because you can trigger violence all over the country, and you can change things, all over the country, not only inside the country but outside as well. When you put, we all saw what Al Jazeera, when they put false information, for example, and all this, and people outside, they want to believe. So if you have people inside the country, Egyptians, and they're going to report something false when it comes to terrorism or something like this, just imagine what will happen. So put whatever you want to say, express yourself, whatever you want to say, but again, use official sources. Don't put false information.
False information is totally different from freedom of speech. This is not equal to this one. Freedom of speech, say whatever you want to say. Tell your own opinion, whatever you want to say, which you hate what is happening, you are supporter to this and you are supporter to that. Say whatever you would like to say, and this is called freedom of speech, and all of us respect it. But giving false information about any attack or any something which is false information that may accuse the national security, here is the risk that must be accused by giving false information. Freedom of speech is not false information. It's your own opinion that you are responsible for. But false information that you are a liar, but you are not a liar for something. You are a liar for a country. You are a liar.
And after publishing such an information, even being taken in international media, for example,
yes,
when you come back to correct something, you're not going to take the same space, because they are interested in the false information,
yes,
not in the
and
right one.
And they would like.
If you are going to put something like a penalty, or you are going to pay something, everyone will do it, and they can pay, that is it, and do it. But it has to be, there must be a punishment. And I believe when I compare this to other laws, international laws, they are more than this when it comes to the national security. But I don't know, it's different points.
I would like to tell you something. What is the kind of false information?
Again, this is something.
Yes. Is it always something bad? Or I may give you false information, which is a good thing, that I'm giving you that everything is okay and everything is fine and don't worry and nothing happened at all. I'm